How can you get anyone to read your novel? Well, today I'm going to share with you guys the secret that I hear nobody talking about in the book world. There are webinars and courses and newsletters all talking about how to grow your audience. But this method is the foundation and the most important thing that you can do. And it is a guaranteed method that you can do no matter where you are at or no matter what you are writing, whether it's smut or schizophrenic literary fiction. And you don't even need to go on camera or do audio to be able to accomplish this. And so let's dive into it. And if you do not know, my name is Ian and I run the channel Write Conscious, where I help writers improve their craft. But this new channel, The Literary Renaissance, is where I show authors how to get their work out into the world so they do not have to die in the Kindle graveyard. So they don't have to be resentful and say that the publishing industry is dead and there are no more readers left. There are plenty of readers left. You just have to know not just how to find them, but how to activate them. So we first need to get down to the bare bones. I need to reorient your thinking because as an author, this is what we are asking people. Because you are probably very personally attached to your book. You spent thousands of hours writing it or are going to be writing it, and you can't see it objectively. But when you ask someone to read your book, let's say, this is my novel, which would be awesome. You're really saying, I want you to spend 4 to 10 hours reading this, and you're also going to have to exert a ton of mental energy. You could spend 10 hours watching a season of Bridgerton and just veg out, or you could mentally push yourself to read this. And so, as you can tell, it's somewhat of a hard ask. And this is what authors do not think about. This is why so many authors are unsuccessful, because publishing houses think of this. There is a gap of effort that we have to overcome as novelists and writers that artists and visual artists, musicians, and people in film or TV shows never have to worry about, or stand-up comedy. We are making the biggest ask. And so the secret that I'm going to be talking about today, and I'm not going to play hide the cookie, is the problem solution cycle. But before we get into that, I have to inform you guys about the two different types of literature. There is entertaining literature and transformative literature. There is literature that is meant to mostly entertain you. Because, of course, all great novels are transformative and entertaining. But to make this method work, you are going to have to view your novel through just one of these lenses in terms of how you are going to approach this. And if you try to view it through two, you will fail. So we have entertaining literature, and then we have transformative literature, which is meant to help give the reader meaning or to help them get mind blown or reevaluate how they see the world or themselves. And if you look at what I just said, those are huge industries. The entertainment industry, which is connected to all social media apps and phones and music, is huge. One of the biggest industries in the world. And then the meaning industry, which comprises all religions, anything related to self-help and all the transformative art, is also a huge industry. And because in our modern society, we have so much leisure time and some money, then we can dump a lot of our time into entertainment. And because we are more isolated and lonely, depressed, whatever, unhealthy than ever, we also seek out meaning more than ever. Because we don't have collective rituals or monomyths, many of us are born into a world with no meaning. My parents didn't really raise me very religious, and I was just thrown into the world to find my own meaning. Or if you're raised religiously and reject that, then you have to find meaning. Or if you're religious, you continue to find meaning and refresh yourself through new ideas and speakers and thinkers. And so we have these two different types of literature. And so I want you to pause the video really fast and contemplate, if you had to choose one, what side of the aisle are the works that you are doing or have worked on, the work you want to push out to the world? Which category does it fall into? And it doesn't matter, one is not better than the other, but the approach you have to take is vastly different for both of these. Okay, so hopefully you've picked and figured out what you are doing. And so now let's talk about the problem solution cycle. And so when someone picks up a book, really when someone does anything, they have a problem. Like right now, when I'm done with this video, I have a kitchen that is dirty. And so I have this incentive to go and clean it so that my wife is happy and I get to have a clean kitchen. My cats aren't going to puke because they're licking up food off of a plate. But I have all the solutions I need. I have the time and the supplies to do it. But when it comes to entertainment and meaning, most of the time we need something new. We like diversity, we like to find something new, and we like to get into a flow with a certain vibe or trajectory. This is why some people go through phases. And so when someone comes to you, or let's say to your work, let's say you have a novel and it's posted on Amazon.com, and for whatever reason, they click on it. The reason the Kindle graveyard exists is because they look at it and the plot probably looks good and the cover, everything looks good, but they sit and they ask themselves, do I really want to read this? And what they are doing right there is thinking, how does this compare to all my other options in the entertaining category or the transformative category? I could be reading, instead of your novel, No Country for Old Men. I haven't read that yet. That Right Conscious guy talks about it. And you are competing with Cormac McCarthy, who they've been programmed and heard is already good. And so they are most likely going to read Cormac McCarthy or go on their phone and not choose your book. And this is where a lot of marketing tactics fail. So just letting people know that you have a book. For instance, going down to the comment section right now. People do this all the time on my other channel. They're like, go check out my book. This is what it's called. And they think that by just getting the name out there, that people are going to see that, go search it up on Amazon, which they might, and then want to buy it. But that is a terrible marketing strategy, and it doesn't work. Exposure in a saturated market like books or entertainment or transformation, where there are tens of millions of other options, is a really bad idea. What we are looking for with this problem solution cycle is familiarity and a flow. And so let's rewind here. Let's say that someone comes across a piece of your writing, or you on video, or you doing a piece of your art, a post on X, whatever. Well, they are on that platform for maybe various different reasons. Maybe they want to improve their relationships, improve their health, get more money. Those are some of the other three things. But if they are in a more intellectual realm, the algorithm is going to be feeding them things that are entertaining or create meaning. And so let's say, and I'll use myself as an example, someone's scrolling through YouTube and they see a video of mine on Cormac McCarthy. And it's like Cormac McCarthy and nihilism. And so as they're watching the video, I am hopefully solving the problem, not of entertaining them, because that's not what I'm pitching, but of giving them meaning by talking about Cormac McCarthy and his views on nihilism and how his books kind of are nihilistic, but as a way to help you feel more optimistic. I help them resolve a small piece of their yearning for meaning. I solve that problem just for a second. I give them the solution. But the problem is that solving a small problem for someone, which they don't even realize exists. Most people, when they are scrolling, don't think that they are just seeking out meaning or seeking out entertainment necessarily. Entertainment's a little bit easier to target. But if I actually solve the problem for them, then there is a higher chance that they are going to watch another video of mine. And because my entire channel is based on transformative videos, and everything that I write and everything I put out is in the transformative category, eventually, as they start to watch my work, I'm helping provide solutions to their problems. It could also be as simple as they are interested in Cormac McCarthy or want to know what he thinks. And so that's a problem. They want to know more about this reclusive author. And then I give them a solution. But the solution is transformative because the author is transformative. But what ends up starting to happen is that we get into a dance. We get into a flow where they have a problem and I give them a solution. Imagine at a workplace. Imagine if there's someone, and we've all had colleagues like this, who they know everything. They've been at the job. One year I was working some super weird job that was online, and like there were so many little technicalities with the system we were using. You have to reload the page and hit X and hit Z. And there's one guy named Zach. He had every single answer. And the days he was working, it was very easy. But there was this other dude named Ramsey, and he was new, and he didn't have all the solutions. And when they were there on the same day, though, I would always go to Zach and never go to Ramsey because Zach always had a solution to my problem, and I got into a flow with him and I started to trust him. And lo and behold, when I had other problems that didn't have to do with the system, but how should I talk to this person? How should I respond to the boss? They're on my ass. I would ask Zach, and not ask Ramsey, even though Ramsey, in retrospect, probably would have been a better person to ask. And so there is a flow, a dance that starts to happen when you start providing value for people. And luckily, there have been a ton of studies done, and the numbers range widely. But in general, it will take anywhere minimum 10 to 20 problem solution cycles to happen before anyone will ever consider buying any form of a product or upgrading or like even subscribing to your channel or like getting into you more. So I want you to think right now, if you are trying to be a writer, you want to sell books, you already have a Substack, you have all these things out there, then how many opportunities do you have out there to solve people's problems? Whether that problem is entertaining them or transforming them. How many solutions exist? Look up your name right now online. Look at your social medias. And the problem is that a lot of social media is time-based. That if I, like this video right now, it's going to be popular for a little bit, but 5 years from now, most likely, unless it goes viral, it will be deep down in the algorithm. People may not even be able to find it anymore. And YouTube has a lot more longevity than other platforms, like an Instagram post, an X post, Facebook post, whatever. Those things disappear in the matter of a day, at most a week. If it's really viral, maybe a month. And so I know plenty of writers who I talk to, and they say, well, I have this content, I have this stuff. But what they don't realize is that that content would require someone to click on their page, go look at their backlog, and that does happen part of the time. But for most people, what ends up happening is they may subscribe to your channel or most likely not, but because they watched your video or read your post, did whatever, and they spent some time on it, the algorithm is going to say, okay, they like Johnny. We're going to show them Johnny again next time Johnny posts. But many people don't understand that you have to have a volume coming out. That volume does matter because the next day, when Johnny doesn't see you, he's slowly forgetting. He's slowly starting to realize that you're not in this. Well, he's not realizing, he's unconsciously slipping out of that dance. And so to be able to do this correctly means that you need to be active, that you need to have a plan, that you need to understand what category you are in. Because at the end of this, we are all like this. If I am watching someone and I feel like I'm connected to them and they're providing me meaning or providing me entertainment, and then they have a product, I have no problem paying for it. And something I have to always say is that there are countless people out there. I don't know if the word is, they're either young and don't have a lot of money yet, or they're cheap and don't buy things. But let me tell you guys, there are countless people who will spend their money or have more money than you could possibly imagine. And especially if we're in the realm of books, you guys, people that read books for fun, some of them are starving artists and don't buy anything and they're too smart and they won't fall into a funnel where they end up buying your book. But most people work jobs, good jobs, and have money. And spending $15 on your book is not even a thought. Like that $15 means nothing to them. And so if you get them in that flow, eventually they will ascend and buy your book. And then once they buy your book, if you can convince them to buy your book, which is this is like the big solution. This is like, I'm terrible at analogies, but imagine you had neck pain and then you saw some Instagram dude, or you saw some Instagram guys like, stretch your neck like this, and you do it. And like, okay, it feels a little bit better. But then let's say you went and saw someone in person and they did myofascial release and some other stuff, and then your neck was completely healed. If that happened, you would be a customer for them for life. Like the next time your neck hurt, let's say a year later, like, oh my God, man, you wouldn't do the stretches again. You'd be like, you know what? I'm going to go see Dr. Jim because it's a big solution. Looking at something online and doing a little, getting a little problem solved is a small solution, but having a big problem solved will make you maybe a fan forever. And so that's what a book is. If someone sits down and spends 5 hours of their time with you, and then if you impress them, then they are a lifelong customer. If you have a Substack, they will subscribe. If you release another book or release t-shirts or run a workshop, run a class online, do whatever. Who knows? I can't tell you what to do. But if you do something that's free or paid, there is a very, very high chance that they will come back. And this is what actually separates us from the traditional publishing industry. So when you read a book and you see that, like, for instance, this is published by Vintage, McCarthy was published by Knopf and Random House. When I see someone's been published by Random House, there is a credibility there. There's a brand name. That has kind of slipped over the past couple decades, but it's still true. Like, I think, okay, like if there's two books, one that's published by Random House and another by some self-published author, and I know nothing about them, I'll pick the Random House one because I'm like, okay, I trust them. And so that power draws people to buy the books. But, and this is fire, when they read the book, they associate part of their liking, part of that positivity, part of the problem, part of that solution, they give it to Random House. They give it to the book publishing company, and they only give part of it to the author. And so if you are a self-published author and you draw people in with this problem solution cycle and then send them to your book and then they like it, then they are 100% yours. And because they know you're self-published, they'll say, who the hell is this guy? Like, I want to know more. Then join your Discord, do that. And so this is why this solution is so powerful for self-published authors. And this is what I've found personally with what I'm doing, that there are countless people who will support me no matter what I do. I could, anyway. And so I wanted to just really fast dive into the two different categories. And so obviously with entertaining literature, you shouldn't be like doing Mr. Beast videos in the sense that you need to do something that has proximity to literature, but you need to make it entertaining. A great example of this is what is happening on Book Talk. I'm not on TikTok. I've never really used it. I think I maybe uploaded one or two things there from an auto scheduler that I was using for a minute. I'm not even really on Instagram, but from what I could tell, Bookstagram and Book Talk have highly entertaining content. They do skits, they have funny write-ups, they do flashes. They also have, obviously the sexual appeal is big there with women that are very good looking or whatever, flashing books. But nonetheless, unless you're doing that, if you are making entertaining content, and it could range anything from you going out on the streets and asking people about books to you creating edits about books and not showing your face at all. Any of that type of stuff will lead people to want to read something that's entertaining because what you are doing is entertaining them. And I've seen countless people do this. There are countless book talk authors or people that have even small followings. I know this from YouTube, people who put more entertaining content out there. And when they release a book, thousands of copies are sold in the first month. And they're, and it's mostly like a romantasy type book or mystery or whatever, science fiction, and like kind of the lower side, like the entertaining side of that. And so that's definitely a system. And what's good about that is that most of the readers in the world are readers of entertaining literature. And so you have a big advantage if you do that because the content is more scalable. There are more people to reach. And there's actually a formula to learn. Like in terms of making entertaining videos, there is like, you could watch videos on how to make a viral video and study people, and it's kind of there. Over on the transformative side, it's a little bit more up to the mind and your own unique personality. And so on the transformative side, this is where long form content comes in. And it has to just have a general proximity. For instance, I make videos on all types of authors, but when I release my book, people are going to trust that and say, okay, this is going to be transformative. This is going to be good. And because I know this problem solution hypothesis, what I've actually done, and this just came about, but I realized later on, is that I'm releasing this summer, late summer, who knows, a book of poetry. But I was like, okay, I'm going to have 50 to 70 of my own poems in here. But what if someone reads it and doesn't view it as transformative? Because the thing about poetry I realized is that many people aren't very well read in it. That people maybe took some classes in college and like their conception of poetry is like T.S. Eliot or like Rupi Kaur, like random stuff. And they don't understand like lineages as well as they understand like the Joyce to Faulkner stream of consciousness lineage. Like it's a little bit more diluted over there. So it's like, okay, there's going to be plenty of people who get this, who are somewhat new to poetry and are kind of like, I don't know about this. And so I can accept that. And there's nothing I could do about that. But there is something I can do. And so throughout the piece, I'm going to have over 100 translations of poems from the best authors of all time, the best poets of all time, also embedded within the piece. And so no matter what, the reader is going to be transformed because those authors are guaranteed wake-up artists, guaranteed transformers. And so I've spent a ton of time working with native speakers of ancient Greek and German and doing my, and then toiling away with my own translations and fixing stuff to get that collection in there so that I can hopefully guarantee or get most people to feel like they got something transformative out of my book, thus delivering this big thing that they're going to pay money for, this book, and then they get it, and then they continue to trust me, and they continue to be like, okay, and then they'll buy the next book or watch the next video. or sign up for my Substack or do whatever. But what's interesting is that what I just told you guys is thinking about the reader. If I was thinking about myself, I would just release my poems. I'd be like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to spend years working on these translations. But I was like, wait, I have to be different. I have to think of something to like take this all to the next level. Anyway, so that was an example of what I've done, but you could draw people into your transformative novel or your work through anything that is more long form content. It could be nonfiction posts. It could be posts about, I've seen people even do it with politics. People that have very eccentric or outlandish views on politics can drive people in. Anything that makes people think, if you are making them think, thus transforming them, that's all that matters. You don't have to get on a camera. You could write on Substack. You do audio only podcasts. Like there's a lot that you can do, but it needs to be a little bit, a minute. It can work, but I haven't seen very good results of people who, let's say on Instagram, make content on only, let's say, transformative books. When they release something, the crossover isn't as high because you can't really transform people in a minute. And so what I want you guys to think about is, okay, where am I falling? And then how can I reach that volume? How can I get the volume going in? And I'm not saying that you need to be doing things every single day, but like I said, you can't crash out and go months without posting something. If you want to get into this, say, okay, I need to keep on a general schedule. It doesn't need to be perfect, but every couple days, I'm going to do something. What's great about Substack, which is where the literary renaissance is happening, everybody, Substack.com. That is where the best writers and the best readers in the world are for both entertaining and transformative works of fiction, poetry, and nonfiction. What's great about Substack is that you have your profile, but there's also the notes feature. So you could be doing short little things while you're at work. You could think of something in your head and then post it to the notes function. Then once a week or something, post something longer. And then you're keeping people in the cycle. And Notes does a really good job from what I've seen. Like if I read someone's long form piece of content, then I'll see for weeks their notes, even if I don't care about them. Like sometimes I'll just get clickbaited into something and I'll sit and read through it. And I was like, I didn't really like that. But for weeks, every time they post the note, I see it, even though I didn't like their post. And so think on these things, everybody. This is the problem solution hypothesis. This is the foundation of everything I'm going to be building on this channel. This is how you should be thinking about these things. This is the missing link that book publishers think about. This is what they provide that we need to replace. And if we don't, then we will not only become full-time authors, but we will not create a literary renaissance. If you guys are interested, I have a 3-hour course detailing how to grow your audience for free in the link down below. I would love for you guys to go check that out. I feel it's based on how to build your Substack audience. I think it's really good stuff. There's stuff in there, like I said, I've never heard talked about anywhere else. That's what I'm trying to do on this channel. I'm not trying to rehash all the same crap that hasn't worked. And I will hopefully see you guys very, very soon in the next video.